Right, welcome everyone. As promised last time, we told you that we will be showing you how we prepare the vegetables. So we're gonna be doing that. So what we're doing exactly, Doc?
Well, I just got done washing some dishes, and we're going to prepare vegetables. We're going to first steam them, or we're going to wash them and chop them. Now, some of the vegetables we got already cut. So we got some butternut squash here. That's already pre-cut, so that's easy. The easier, the better. There you go, Mo. So we got some yellow squash, we got a red bell pepper, we got some beets, and we got some green zucchinis here. So the first thing I'm going to do is throw these in the sink and give these things a little washing. Okay, just going to wash these up a little bit.
So how many zucchini is there?
We got four green zucchinis. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, these are the beets, and I'm going to skin them. So I've got my trash can here. Now, when these things come from the grocery store, they have these big, long stems. So first thing I do, because it just takes up a lot of room in the refrigerator if they have these big, long, bushy stems, I just chop off the stem and I put it in the baggie so that it preserves better before I'm ready to cook it. And a lot of times these vegetables, if you put them in the refrigerator for a day or two and you're not ready to cook them, they start to go bad. But if you put them in a baggie like this, they can preserve for a week just fine.
Perfect.
So that's why we put them in that baggie. I put them in that baggie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop off the ends. Okay, start off like that. Remember, these are roots, right? So they used to be in the ground. They used to be in the dirt. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to peel them. Because chances are you couldn't wash it well enough. But we've got a little peeler right here. And you can see you got to be careful with these things because these things are very sharp. They're pretty much a razor blade.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get your finger in the middle of that. You just want to take off all that outer skin.
Yeah.
Just like you would if you could do that with a potato, you could do that with a carrot. I use this peeler for a lot of different things.
You do that with sweet potatoes as well?
Yeah, I also take off the skin of the sweet potato before I cook it. Now, some people don't do that. Some people think that, it's better to keep the skin on. They would say vitamins and minerals.
Right.
That's okay. I even skin the apples.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, and yes, by the way, there's also nutrients in apple skin, but there's also nutrients inside the apple.
Yeah.
And that's the only ones I care about. Watch me cut my finger now that I'm on camera.
No. So, do you have a problem sometimes cooking after you're working out? Because I know you work out in the evening.
Well, yeah. I mean, it takes time to prepare vegetables. You gotta buy them. You have to have them. Then you have to cut them, and then you have to steam them. And the steaming is gonna take at least half an hour. You don't have to stand there and do much when you're steaming them, but it still takes the time. So, and when I don't have vegetables prepared, it's easy enough, although it's not my preference, to eat a microwave sweet potato.
Right.
But that's what I end up doing if I don't have any vegetables steamed. So yes, we worked out this evening. Yes, it's what, 10 p.m. But I'm not tired. We took a nap. I took a nap earlier today. And so I'm not tired, and I want vegetables. I don't want another sweet potato. So these will be done in an hour. By 11 o'clock, we'll have, our vegetables here.
Yeah.
Oops.
We go to sleep around like 3 and we wake up at 4.
What? Oh, you mean nap?
No, we sleep.
Oh.
We only sleep 1 hour.
No. I usually go to bed around about 12, and I get up around 7, usually 7:30 maybe. All right, so there we go. That's skinned. You know, the thing about beets, I'm sure some of you know this, the thing about beets is that they leave a lot of beet juice.
Yes.
And so they turn everything red. Right? Sometimes it just looks like blood. All right, so can you zoom in here?
Yeah,
Mo?
yeah, of course.
All right, so I'm gonna cut this like this. I'm gonna cut it into 4s. It's too bad I don't have a table that I could just get, so you don't have to do this over my shoulder, but that's
Oh,
fine.
it's okay.
All right, so that's half of it. So obviously what we're doing is we're just cutting it into what might be considered bite-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm. And you already know how many servings you're having with that?
Well, what I typically do is I cut 3 beets, 4 zucchinis, 3 yellow squashes, and a bell pepper,
Mm-hmm.
and I put it into a big steamer pot, which I'll show you in just a minute.
Okay.
And that lasts me for about 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, the first day they're the freshest, so they taste the best.
Okay.
And the second day they still taste pretty good. The third day they still taste pretty good, but they don't look very good.
Mm.
But they taste fine.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be cooking vegetables every day. So doing it this way is fine because I'd rather do it every three days than to do it every single day, or certainly I don't want to do it every meal.
Right.
That's one of the tricks to maintaining a good diet is making it convenient.
I was going to ask you, like, it's important to have your meal prep right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to try to do things as conveniently as you can. So if you can make meals that last you 3 days, then obviously, when I cook meat or fish, I pretty much cook that fresh each time.
Right.
Chicken I can buy pre-cooked, but beef, New York steak,
Yeah.
or salmon, you pretty much want to cook on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you don't have to do the vegetables at every meal.
Right. So what else, like, if you have the vegetables ready, what else that you will cook? The salmon or chicken?
Well, what I do is I put the vegetables into a big container like this.
Okay.
So we're gonna fill this up tonight, and then every time that it's mealtime, I open up the refrigerator and I pull out either the chicken or the salmon or the beef, and then while the salmon or the beef is cooking on the stovetop, then I put the vegetables into a bowl, typically a glass bowl like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I might put some chopped tomatoes in there too, and then I make my dressing with avocado and olive oil, and I'll show you how I do that. And so that's what I do at every meal. I just pull out the bowl, scoop out the vegetables, prepare my protein, whatever that's going to be, and then my fats comes from the oil and the avocado. So that's where you've got all your macronutrients.
So you're always eating protein, carbs, and fat in the same meal.
At every meal. Okay, so here's my steamer pot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just get a large cup like this. So we're going to pour this into the steamer pot. Now, Mo, why don't you get it a little closer angle in here?
Yeah.
So you can see that the water that's in there is below the level of the steamer pot. So that when it's in there, you don't actually see the water that's there. See, so the water is not actually touching the vegetables. We're going to heat this up, and that steam is going to rise through these holes, and it's going to prepare, it's going to steam, it's going to cook these vegetables. So first thing I do is I put the beets in, and I put the beets in at the bottom because the beets are a little harder, and so therefore they take a little more heat or more time to steam. So I put those at the bottom because those are going to be closer to the vapor that's rising. I'm going to put this on the stove top over here. All right, so look at our board here. It looks like it's just a bloody board, right? It's of course it's just beet juice, so it's fine. So we've already washed these. I'm going to peel this label off of this red bell pepper here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to chop that guy off. All right, so now, the reason I only get one of these is because they're just a little bit cumbersome. You see, you got all the stuff you got to clean out of there. You got to pull this guy out. Right, and then you got all those seeds in there, so then I wash the seeds out. And the same with this, there's usually some seeds on here too. All right. All right, so now we're just going to chop these.
Interesting to see you cooking. We always see you talking. We either talking together. Hey, Doug, let's talk about training.
Somebody made a joke about Doug Martha Stewart Brignoli.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a homemaker, you're Martha Stewart. But here's the thing: is I like to eat the way I like to eat. And if I could have someone make this for me, I would do it. But I don't, and so I'm going to do it myself, and it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. I see that you really enjoy cooking.
Well, I don't mind it. It's kind of fun. It's not the process that I mind. It's just that I have so many things to do.
Yeah.
And I would rather use the time writing my next book or researching or reading or those. I really would just like to read and write. So I would spend all my day reading and writing and working out. If even the time to sleep, I would just like to, push a button and have my sleep taken care of.
Yeah.
Same thing. I like eating, but even that takes time. If I had the option of just doing nothing all day, but just studying and writing and working out, that's what I would do.
Wow.
So it's not that I mind the cooking. It's just that it takes time.
Yeah. So what do you read? Like everything?
Yeah, I read Scientific American. I read Discover Magazine. I read National Geographic. I read books. Let me show you some of the books. You can stay there, Mo.
Sure.
I'll show you some of the books that I love to read. These are my current books. The Story of the Human Body by Daniel Lieberman. The Believing Brain by Michael Shermer. Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. And Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. But there's other ones. I love evolution. I love paleontology. I love physics. So I just can't get enough of it. I just can't. There's just so much to learn. I told you earlier.
Yeah.
I was reading an article about the evolution of the beliefs related to dietary fats.
Yeah.
How we were misled by these people, Ansel Keys and George Wallace, that believed that a diet high in saturated fat was terrible, and it sent us in a direction with polyunsaturated fats and what they call cis fats and trans fats, people trying to avoid at all costs saturated fat, and yet that wasn't even the problem. They created a new problem with these trans fats that was actually deadly in essence. So that those things are fascinating to me. I just love reading history, especially science as it relates to history.
All right. I like that we talk about different things while you're chopping that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is one good thing about cooking, especially I usually cook alone. Mo's visiting from Canada right now, so he's my house guest. But you usually cook alone, and I can't use the time to converse about interesting topics. But as long as Mo is here, we talk about interesting topics and we tell jokes. Sometimes jokes that we don't want to mention, but yeah, it's nice to visit with my friend and my associate. And we got a lot of work done, a lot of videotaping this week.
Oh yeah. I'm very excited, honestly, for the people to see what we did, because I know many been waiting for it, and they're gonna see what we did in high quality. We have a great videographer, Tim. He did a great job. So I know, guys, you're going to enjoy what we did this week.
Yeah, Tim had just the best equipment, the best cameras, the best lighting. We had 3 camera angles going at a time, showing, overhead angles and all angles, so you really understand the exercises. That's gonna be good stuff.
While you're chopping the zucchini, right?
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah. So while you're doing that,
Yeah.
so I wanted to tell them a little bit what we did regarding what we shot yesterday in the gym in
Right.
Golden, So what do you think of the idea of the documentary?
Do we want to reveal the documentary?
A little bit. We don't want to say too much, but what do you think once people see the documentary? What do you think their reaction?
Well, let me just explain. I guess we have to, because they're gonna go, what documentary? Well,
Yeah.
we just thought it would be interesting to tell the story about how, basically how the physics of resistance exercise came about, and how we expect it to change the industry. How we expect people to realize that, bizarrely, we had been misled. We had been doing things in ways that were far less efficient and far less productive than they could be for about the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Because we've been so obsessed with the idea of moving a lot of weight at one time without being concerned about the physics and how much actual muscle load is happening with that heavy weight versus how much muscle load you could get with a better exercise and less weight. And of course, the muscle doesn't know or care what you're actually lifting. It only cares how much load it's experiencing. So if the limb is longer, it magnifies it more. If the limb is more perpendicular to resistance, it magnifies it more. So what I would typically use as an explanation is you can load a muscle with 90 pounds of resistance as 90% of the 100 pounds you're lifting, or as 30% of the 300 pounds you're lifting. Either way, it's 90 pounds. The muscle doesn't know or care what you're actually lifting. It only cares how much work it has to do. So that kind of thing can do an awful lot in terms of saving your spine, saving your joints, saving time and energy,
And results.
and at the same time giving you as good or better results than you'd be able to get lifting heavier weights in the conventional way.
Yeah.
So that's what the documentary is about, and how that came about, and where that's going to go. The problem with chopping vegetables is that it's like once you've seen a zucchini chopped, you've seen them all, right?
Yeah.
So chopping 4 zucchinis is just boring and repetitive, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think talking about the documentary made the zucchini not boring.
Yeah. I will say though that, I've known a lot of bodybuilders that don't do this. They just order fast food.
Yeah.
I mean, I was good friends with Rick Tracy for so many years. I never once saw him doing this. I was in his house millions of times. I never once saw zucchinis in the refrigerator. I never once saw a steamer pot. Clearly, he was not steaming vegetables, and yet steaming vegetables is not only the best way to cook vegetables, one of the best ways to cook vegetables, but eating vegetables is extraordinarily important.
Yeah.
So if you're not eating vegetables, you're missing the boat. You're really missing out on important nutrients, not to mention the fact that it's a low glycemic carbohydrate, far better source of carbohydrate than rice or russet potatoes. And yet most people just eat rice or russet potatoes. Never mind that there's no fiber, never mind that they're not getting as nearly as many vitamins and minerals or enzymes as you'd be able to get from fruits and vegetables, and yet people don't eat vegetables. I have a friend that literally can't even eat lettuce. He's that anti-vegetable that he cannot, and maybe some of you who are hearing this are thinking, yeah, that's me. Look, all I can tell you is you are not going to be in optimum health if you don't eat vegetables. It's just simple as that. You have to have vegetables to be in optimum health.
Is that how you maintain your leanness? Like how to stay lean?
Well, it's a combination. I mean, I obviously eat the right number of calories. I eat the right ratio of macronutrients, the right kind of macronutrients. I exercise. So all of those things contribute to my leanness. But the important thing is that I'm 61 years old, right? So the older you get, the more that you appreciate the value of cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're eating carbs that are starchy, carbs that are sugary, you're going to be producing more insulin. And insulin has detrimental effects on your cardiovascular and on your glucose level too, glucose insulin production. So if you want to avoid diabetes and you want to avoid heart disease and you want a strong immune system, you pretty much have to eat vegetables. Here's another thing too. You know they sell probiotics.
Yeah.
Right? And they talk about how important your biome is, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Healthy bacteria.
These are prebiotics. In other words, your intestinal bacteria feeds on this. Right? So if you don't eat vegetables and then you're taking probiotics, you're sort of missing the point because the bacteria that you have in your gut right now isn't being nourished.
So you lose it if you don't eat.
Yeah, so you're not going to have a healthy biome if you're not eating vegetables, if you're not eating fiber. You're not going to have a healthy biome, and trying to patch that up with just some probiotics doesn't even begin to make a dent in what's happening to your friendly bacteria in your gut.
You see some of the comments here. All right. I'm a farmer who produces organic vegetables. Hey, Mike, thank you for your messages. Mike is always watching our videos.
Is he?
He's from he's from Sweden. Hey, Joe. Hey, Sin. Way too much protein, 0.5. All you need, doctor.
Way too much protein, what is that?
Yeah, I can't leave.
Yeah. Thanks for your messages, guys. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah. They say you still look great, Doug. Timeless.
Thank you so much.
It's meditative. Look at that. He can literally go compete now. This is insane. Is that 61? Are you sure?
Thanks for that lighting, by the way. Good lighting.
Yeah. Very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that I guess I didn't realize that the thing that I do every day that I sort of take for granted, I never realized that people really want to know what it is that I do and why I do it and how I do it. And yeah, little by little, I'm realizing that I guess it's good information.
Yeah. And that's why I decided, let's do it, Doug.
Yeah, this was Mo's idea, and so I'll give Mo all the credit for.
No, and it's you too. You also told me that, yeah, let's do it since we're doing the vegetables.
Mo, why don't you come over here and since we haven't seen the yellow
Oh,
squash
yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
chopped, we can see what that looks like. Now these are a little different because they're not quite as tubular. They're a little bit more bulbous, or they're more like this. So there's a thin part and a big part. I'll show you what I do with that in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
But basically it just boils down to making these pieces bite-sized. And of course, once they're steamed, they're very relatively soft and chewable. So, oops. Yeah, so I start like this. I chop off the ends. And then I cut that in half right there. And I cut this in thirds. Like that. Because otherwise it's just too big.
And then you use alignments there.
The what?
Alignment.
Yeah. So yeah, see there it is right there. This is kind of too big. So I'm gonna cut it like this at an angle here. I'm gonna cut it at an angle like that there. So there you got 3 pieces there, and then I go forward. We've got one more after this, and then we'll turn the flame on, and we'll start the timer.
That's the important part, so they know
Yeah, now
how
see
long.
this. Yeah, this is interesting. So we're gonna steam these for about 30 minutes. And what you'll find is that a lot of people don't keep track of the time. They don't set a timer.
Right.
And so then your vegetables end up being overcooked and mushy. And you think that steaming vegetables is a bad idea because they come out too mushy. Well, it's all about the time. So if you don't keep track of your time, you don't know how to adjust.
Yeah.
If you do 30 minutes and they come out too mushy, you know next time you'll try 25 minutes, right? But if you didn't keep track of time, you don't know how to adjust. By the way, I tend to not like broccoli.
Really?
I mean, I'll eat it. If I go to a restaurant and that's what they have, I'll eat broccoli. I like cabbage even less than broccoli, but I'll eat it. I like carrots. I like asparagus. I like green beans. But what I'm doing right here is what I like the best. These are my favorite vegetables.
Is it you don't like broccoli because you're not comfortable after you eat them, or?
Oh no,
the
I just don't
taste?
like the taste of it so much.
Oh, okay.
And if I am gonna eat broccoli, I tend to like the florets and the stems less. So I'll chop off as much of the stem as I can and eat the florets as much as possible. The stems, I don't know why the stems kind of bother me a little bit, but I don't mind the florets at all. But they say that that broccoli is one of the healthiest.
Yeah.
So, but I eat pretty healthy. I eat vegetables every single day. I eat fruit every day. I usually eat at least one banana a day, and in addition to that, either an apple or some watermelon every day. And of course, I don't eat anything processed. I don't eat any potato chips. I don't eat any French fries. I don't eat any bread. Nothing made with flour, no pasta. And I eat meats. I eat New York steak. I eat salmon. I eat olive oil and avocado and ghee, which is butter.
Is that what you have on the fridge?
No, that was my girlfriend. She was doing keto.
Oh, okay.
But my girlfriend is gone the last 7 years together, and we decided to go our separate ways, which is okay. Both of us are very good friends. We still talk every day. But she was trying the keto thing. I don't really like the keto thing. But
What do you don't like about it?
well, like for example, I have another friend who's keto.
Mhm.
He won't even eat vegetables. He won't eat an apple. He won't even eat cashews. Cashews have almost no carbs, but yet still too much for someone who's doing a 0 carb keto. The other thing
But
too
that's
is
very extreme, 0 carb.
it is extreme, and so you say, okay, well, if you cut out one entire category of macronutrients, that means you're only eating protein and fats. So you're going to probably be eating a whole lot of protein, right? and that's going to be probably straining your kidneys a little bit because that's a lot of protein. And I mean, I know friends who are eating 3 pounds of meat a day because they're hungry. But 3 pounds of meat to digest every day is not so easy.
Mm-hmm.
You're better off eating, let's say a half a pound or a pound of meat a day and a bunch of vegetables and fruit and olive oil and avocado. That's a better diet. But there are some keto benefits. I know there's some keto health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But to me it's extreme. I'd rather do whatever. And by the way, this is plenty healthy. I don't think I'm compromising at all by not going keto.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might call this paleo.
Yeah.
Even though paleo, the term paleo has been criticized because, the hunter-gatherer idea, the idea that, paleo is hunting meat and eating plants, depending on where paleo times were. In other words, if you're in Alaska, the Eskimos would eat mostly whale and seal meat. There's no vegetation up there, right? There's no olive oil and no avocado up there, right? So
yeah, it depends.
Paleo doesn't actually mean this is how prehistoric man ate, because prehistoric man ate differently depending on where the geographical location was and what they had access to. Some people didn't have access to any animals. Some people had access to more vegetables, some to fewer vegetables. All right, so now take a look at this over here.
Yeah, look how big it is now.
We've got all this, now we're going to put some of these in here. Now we're going to put the butternut squash in there. Oops. Okay, look at all that. It fills up the pot. Now, we're going to turn on the flame. Put the lid on. And we're going to set our timer. There it is. It's zero the timer. 35 minutes. We're going to put that right there, and that's going to let us know when that 35 minutes is up. That's a lot to be cooking for only 35 minutes. Clean up the board.
Let's check the messages. All right. Nice guns, Doug. They said you should do a couple more competition.
Still got the abs. Ugh.
Looks great, and even though he's retired, he would have fun with it and plays well. Yeah.
See, my ex-girlfriend I just told you about, that's her texting me right now. So we're still friends. 7 years is a long time.
Yeah, not fan of keto. Speaking of keto diet, I know some people who use the keto for a certain period to lose weight, and then they change diet to more healthy, like what.
Yeah, here I'm gonna show my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Take it a little closer there.
Let's see here. Yeah, vegetable have carbs.
Yeah, they have carbs and they have low glycemic carbs.
Yeah. Not which is quite bad. Yeah. So that's the vegetables. So what do we have for protein?
So we got you like salmon, right?
Yeah.
You don't like New York steak.
Not at night.
Okay.
I prefer salmon at night.
All right.
Like that.
So we've got some salmon that we bought last week. We've got a new pack tonight.
That's wild salmon, by the way.
Yes, we eat wild caught salmon because we don't want farm raised, because we don't want to deal with the PCBs and all that stuff that hangs in there in those tanks where they're growing the salmon.
Yeah.
Okay, so look at this beautiful piece of salmon right here. That just looks fantastic. Look at that. All right, so I'm going to put that on the chopping board right there. Imagine having caught that and just slicing that off that side. It's magnificent.
The clicking sound is the timer.
It's not. It's
not a bomb.
It's not a bomb. Exactly. All right. So I'll get my trusty knife out.
Yeah.
And see this thing here weighs about a pound, maybe a little over a pound, right? So I'm going to cut it right about there. That's about a serving size right there.
Yeah. And you have a nice weight.
Now, do you think this is too small a piece for you?
Yes, because even though like my arms are smaller than you, but I still need a little bit more than that.
All right.
Doug is spoiling me all week. You know, I'm eating well, like amazing.
How about right there?
A little less, including this one.
No, that's mine.
Oh yeah.
Right there?
A little bit more. Yeah.
Okay. So what were you saying?
I was saying you're spoiling me all week.
Well, you're my guest, and we have work to do. We've got a lot of work done, so we might as well eat well while we're here. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put the rest of this in a baggie, so we'll have it over the next day or two.
I'm gonna wash the.
Okay. He's going to wash the pan. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Let me borrow that rag. Okay. All right. So why don't you bring the camera over here so we get a close up on the pan.
All right. This is how we're gonna do the salmon, right?
Yes. All right. So this is ghee. We're going to use this to keep it from sticking.
So why you use ghee?
Well, ghee is a type of butter. That's about how much I'm going to use right there. And it's a richer, more nutrient-rich source of a form of butter. There we go. So you're going to put that right in there like that. Now, some people cook their salmon in the oven.
Yeah.
But it comes out much drier in the oven.
Yeah.
So you turn your flame on.
So medium.
Yeah, it's kind of on high actually.
And how much ghee did you put?
Well, I don't know how to measure it, but it's about
It's about a tablespoon.
Yeah.
Huh?
And as soon as that melts down like that,
We're
gonna put the two pieces in there.
Nice.
Now the thing is that this thing cooks pretty fast, right? So you don't want to overcook it. I have a couple of tricks that I use to know when it's right. So here's one piece, and there's the other piece. We're gonna put a lid on this so it doesn't splatter.
I need to wash the lid. It's
That's
right
right.
there
Where is
in
it?
the soap. In the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some good grass-fed ghee. Someone said is hungry.
Yeah. All right. So the reason I'm washing this lid is because you want to be able to see through it so you can see how long you are in the cooking process. Okay. Now notice how red that is on top. Okay, so when that starts to turn whitish, I'm going to turn the flame off because I'll be preparing to flip it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you'll see when this thing starts to turn white on top, I'll flip it around. I'll let it cool a little bit before I flip it because otherwise it'll splatter grease all over me. You know, I have to say that I was, the idea of live streaming like this always seemed a little silly to me because I always thought that nobody would really care what I'm doing. But, you know, if you guys are interested in what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, then that's fantastic. I don't mind sharing. I love passing that along. But as I said, I always sort of thought nobody would really care how I cook my salmon, how I steam my vegetables. But the fact that I even do, I guess, is interesting to some people.
No, to be honest, the way you did the vegetables, the salmon, I usually do it in the oven, and it's absolutely right. It's dry. I love the salmon like that, and I love how it's chopped and mix it with the vegetable, right. Which what we will show them how you do that.
Yeah.
You know, with the sauce, amazing.
Yeah, I find it interesting that people typically like their plate to have like the protein and the vegetable and the carb. You know, and it's like, it's going to end up all mixed up in your stomach anyway. Yeah. So I put it all in the bowl to begin with, and then I put my dressing in there, and I roll it in the dressing, and it doesn't look as pretty, but it tastes much better because I get to mix it with all of it, right? So every spoonful is a combination of the salmon and the vegetables and the avocado so it's all, instead of like taking a bite of one thing or taking a bite of another thing.
That's really tasty.
Yeah. Although I will say that when I eat my New York steak, I love my New York steak. I typically eat just the steak by itself first.
Yes, yeah. I saw you yesterday.
Yeah, and then after I have the steak, then I have my vegetables.
Yeah. So you want to like enjoy it.
I don't want to mix it with any other flavor. Just give me a nice New York steak, medium rare with garlic powder on top and salt. Love that. And I typically have like 2 steaks a week. I don't overdo it on the beef. I eat salmon 4 to 6, 7 nights a week. And steak 2 of the 7 nights a week.
Nice.
Okay, now take a look at this. See, so now you can see it turning white on the edges there. Okay, so I'm going to flip the heat off so that simmering settles down. Get over it, maybe more. There it is right there. So, all right, so now, see, it's still kind of splattering a lot there. And now what I'll do is I'll get underneath here and flip it. Now you notice that was just what, about 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe not even that much. All right, so now put the lid back on again.
And for how long?
2 minutes, 3 minutes.
2, 3 minutes?
Yeah. Now obviously in the oven it takes longer.
Yes, yes.
But I think this is much better.
You said some people like order fast food.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see, like you said, 3 minutes and 2 minutes for the salmon.
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say you make the vegetables once, like every 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Depends how long. That's fast food, but it's healthy fast food.
Yes, yes. All right, so here's what I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking that these vegetables are going to take at least another 25 more minutes, and we're not even going to eat them as soon as they're done because we're going to want them to cool down a little.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to leave you before we actually finish the meal, but you'll see the salmon get finished, and you'll also see me make the dressing.
Yeah.
So all you have to know is that when the salmon is done and the dressing is done, we're going to put that into the bowl, some mixed vegetables, some salmon, and this dressing I'm about to make here, and that will be our meal. So why don't you get a zoom in right here? Actually, let me grab an avocado. Okay. All right, so here's a whole avocado, half for me, half for Mo. All right, I'm going to chop this in half. Mo loves the fact that I can do this so
perfectly. Look
perfectly.
at that. Look at that.
2 even avocados, 2 halves. Okay, so now when you're going to take that pit out of there, most of you know this. You just kind of dig your knife in there and twist. All right, so, oops, this is done. All right, so we want to make sure the salmon is off the flame. All right, so now I'm going to scoop this out like this. This is a really nice avocado. Sometimes they're overripe, sometimes they're underripe. But this one is just perfect. Lucky us for our show here. All right, so once that's done, I mash it. Okay, once your avocado is mashed, like that, you add your olive oil. Boom, 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 nice and plentiful. All right,
I love olive oil, man.
I'm gonna add a little salt, a tiny bit of garlic powder, and don't judge me, boiled lemon juice instead of fresh lemon juice. I'm gonna put some lemon juice in there. Because we're eating fish, right? Fish goes good with lemon. All right, we mash that up like this.
Yeah, he's really a chef.
All right, so that's our sauce right there. That's our dressing. All right, so now take a look at our salmon. Our salmon is done. All right, so now what I'm going to do is peel that skin off. Now, some people leave the skin on, and there's nothing wrong with leaving the skin on. But since we're going to chop it up and put it into the bowl, it's better to do that without the skin. So I just grab it like this because it's kind of hot on the fingers otherwise. So you see I just peeled off the skin of one. Now I'm going to peel the skin off the other. Oops. Let me get this thing here so it's unstuck. All right. There it is. All right, we got our two bowls right here.
Yeah.
All right, here's most salmon right here. Chop that up. Oops, okay, here's my salmon. Now notice how that's cooked. Not overcooked, not undercooked, still a little pink in the center. Perfectly cooked. Now you don't want it to be dry. And of course it's got a little bit of that ghee still in there, right? So that's adding some juiciness to it.
Yeah. I love ghee. I use it a lot too.
Okay, yeah, it's good. So I put that in there. Yeah, it's more commonly known in other countries. I know it's very popular in India. Not popular to use here. Okay, so there's our salmon. Here's Moe's sauce. Right, so I'll pour that in there. Tasty and super, super healthy. So you see what's there now. Once these vegetables are done, we'll add about 2 scoops of vegetables and stir all that in there, and it's a perfect meal. In the meantime, I'll do my avocado olive oil dressing, and I think we'll sign off with that because we still have about 15 minutes of nothing to do before the vegetables are steamed, at least 20 before we pull them out.
Let's see if there is any questions before we sign out. If it's worth it, we will continue. If not, then we're signing off. Yeah, man.
I think sometimes people are afraid to prepare a meal, and if you can see how it's done, then it takes the mystery away, and you're more willing to try it, more courageous to try it once you've seen someone else do it.
I mean, you can rewatch the video and go through the step by step, and it's easy to get it.
Yeah, so keep in mind, we make the salmon fresh every time, we make the dressing fresh every time, but the vegetables don't have to be made fresh every time. That lasts for a few days. The other vegetable I like too is mushrooms.
Yeah.
So, but I don't steam them. I usually saute them. So
how do you do it?
I'll put them on a stove top with some avocado oil and some butter.
Why both?
Just because I want a combination of the flavors.
Okay.
And then I saute them until they turn nice and brown. But I don't do that. I only do that once a week. It's a little time consuming.
Yeah.
They shrink down, so you have a big basket.
Yeah.
For example, you have a big basket of mushrooms like this. And of course, this ends up being like 2 or 3 servings at the most. Have I tried Icelandic style yogurt? No, but we definitely will try it. Yeah, I'll try that out. That sounds good. We have there's another recipe that we were talking about earlier. I make my own blue cheese dressing. So I take fresh blue cheese from the grocery store, and it looks like this. Fresh blue cheese dressing. And I drop that into the blender. I drop this whole thing into the blender. And then I put a big, like a quarter cup of plain yogurt.
Okay.
And a quarter cup of sour cream, lemon juice, a little water, a little salt, and blend that up, and you've got your own fresh blue cheese dressing, which you can use on these vegetables too. Just depends what you like. All right, got my olive oil going here. It would have been nice to do a cooking show with Rick Grayson.
Yeah, it's true. I will let you finish that one and then decide.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, longevity is important, and bodybuilding is part of the longevity. If you do it right, you're helping yourself to be healthy, you're eating healthy, you feel good about yourself. So it's all related, everything is connected.
Yeah, I also, in terms of cardiovascular health and longevity, I also recommend that you do a little bit of cardio, not necessarily a lot, but if you can manage to find some time to do some brisk walking 2 or 3 times a week for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time, it's great for cardiovascular health. My experience has been that it has not helped me very much get lean.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried lots of cardio and I've tried no cardio, and I get leaner doing no cardio, but that's just my genetic body type. But I do think it's worth doing for health reasons. All right, so here's my dressing. So as you can see, the only thing that's left is getting these vegetables to be done steaming. And that'll be done in about 12 minutes, and then we're going to let them sit there for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Serve them up, and we've got our dinner right there.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
It's great seeing you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. Tomorrow we will talk about the coffee, the protein coffee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Chocolate, coconut, protein coffee.
Yeah, that one you want to add to your morning routine.
with almond butter.
Yes.
Delicious.
We'll tell you tomorrow about the recipe.
Bye bye.
Have a good night.